I just lost all feelings for my BF instantly. My car is getting worked on, so I needed a ride home from work. He was in a bad mood from his work and he was already speeding, driving angrily, and threatened to cut off an old lady because she wasn't going fast enough. We were heading to his bank and the ATM wasn't working and they were closed. He needed money for weed and started to throw a fit because of it. I said I would pay for it and he could pay me back, and this man-child was like, no. We get home and where we park is a minute walk to the door. He storms to the doorway before me, unlocks it and shuts it. How embarrassing, because he didn't get weed. I go inside and ask him what I did. And he said, nothing, I am taking a shower and going to bed. Ick, you are throwing that big of a fit because you can't smoke weed? I am done being with loser men that can't regulate their emotions. Grow the fuck up. Comments.
I'd stop being friends with someone for being this much of a loser. So why would you want to keep dating them? As someone who's never smoked or done weed, I can't take seriously someone who needs to constantly be on some sort of substance to be a functioning human being. You don't need to be high all the damn time to be able to handle reality. Is it fun? OFC, that's why people occasionally do it, but to be emotionally dependent on it is just a big yikes. Do you know anyone with mental health issues? Because here is one writing to you saying that you're 100% wrong about not needing anything to be a functional human being. Suicide is the alternative for many of us, and isn't that a dirty word for people to hear these days? I've spent my teen life, since the 1990s, in and out of mental institutions, and I'm only still here because I very much do need some sort of substance to get through the day. If there was any way to fairly verify it, I would bet you a shiny nickel that Mr. Classy here was hangry. As in, angry from being hungry. When I finally realized how much low blood sugar affects a person's mood, it was a genuine relief. It made me understand my tumultuous home life as a kid so much better. However, what I learned very soon after that is that not everyone who has low blood sugar, or who is tired, or disappointed, or whatever, transforms into a petty, paranoid bully. There's this whole thing called emotional self-regulation. It's a benchmark for emotional maturity. Folks with narcissistic tendencies are bad at it. They need external stuff to help them regulate their bad feelings for them. Stuff like weed, or alcohol, or like girlfriends, wives, or kids to be a captive audience in Wailing Wall. A steam-release valve for infantile rage. See, when they are upset, they spew every bad feeling out on those around them. Then, when their needs are attended to, whatever it was this time, then lo and behold, all of a sudden they're totally fine. Everything is sunshine and candy rainbows. Ah, this is fun, right? Us having dinner together. And they cannot comprehend why everybody else in the car is rattled and in tears. Well, dang, what's the big deal? I thought we were just gonna have a nice night tonight, but if you want to be all emotional and dramatic, I guess we're doing that instead. Pouts. What I am saying is, this one event would be a significant red flag for me at best. Now, I was related to the people in my life who were like this, and it took years of therapy and forgiveness and work for us to have a relationship. That is an unreasonable expectation for a young person looking to start a nice life with a supportive best friend and romantic partner. I congratulate you, OP, for having the good sense to guillotine that shit immediately. There are people out there who will love you just as much, with the added benefit that they will grow your mental and emotional resources instead of needing to feed on you like a vampire until you are exhausted and distracted from your own life.
I'm about to break up with my fiancé due to his extremely extroverted behavior. I have been with my fiancé for 3.5 years. We got engaged after 1 year of dating and have been living together for about 2 years now. On our first dates, I could see how much he loved talking to people. I mean random people. We would be somewhere, like in a shopping mall, and he would start talking to a random person about anything. Or we would be in a restaurant having dinner and he would start talking to the people sitting at the table next to us. Now, I'm not a fan of talking to strangers, so I didn't really like this behavior of his. But I sometimes joined the conversation a bit or stayed on my phone waiting for it to end. The problem is that he started doing it more and more. Sometimes I could see the person he was talking to was trying to end the conversation, but he kept on talking. It started feeling a bit off. One day, we had a really bad situation with some girls in a restaurant. He started talking to them, they were sitting at the table next to us, and they started saying some very embarrassing and awkward things to us. We just wanted to be left alone at that point, but they wouldn't stop talking. Later that day, I finally gathered the courage to tell him that I didn't really like this talkative behavior, especially because sometimes it made me feel completely put aside and ignored while he was talking to a total stranger. He apologized, but his behavior didn't really change. Then I started realizing a few things. Every time we were in public, he wasn't fully paying attention to me. He was always looking around, trying to find someone to start a conversation with. At first, I thought he was just extroverted, but there was always this voice in my head telling me something was very wrong with this behavior. We traveled abroad for my birthday and we were at this party, drinking and having fun. Out of the blue, he started talking to this guy and completely forgot about me for about 10 minutes. When we went home, I talked to him about it and we had a really bad argument. That was the first time I thought about breaking up with him because of that. But in the end, we talked and he apologized and said he was going to start controlling himself more. His behavior changed for the first few weeks, but then he started talking to random people again. The only difference was that he started apologizing to me right after talking to a stranger. About 3 weeks ago, we went to a restaurant and right before finding a table to sit at, he started talking to this guy who was waiting for a takeaway. I was just so tired of it by then, so I found a table myself and sat there and waited for him to finish talking. After some minutes, he came to our table and apologized for talking to that guy, but I didn't even say anything. I was just like, what's the point? The next day, I arrived home from work exhausted and just wanted to sleep, but he insisted we should check out this apartment. We were looking for places to buy, and told me it was going to be quick. I ended up going, and after the inspection, he was driving us home and saw his friend's car and started honking and stopped the car. I was boiling at that moment when he left the car to talk to this guy for about 10 minutes while I was there in the car waiting. He knew I was tired after working for 10 hours, but he still couldn't resist talking to this person. Again, he came back to the car, apologetic, and I just said I was not in the mood for his apologies and just wanted to go home to sleep. He got quiet and drove home. We talked about it later and he apologized again. The thing is, he apologizes but doesn't stop. And it hurts me so much because that really makes me feel like literally any person is more interesting than me in his eyes. The last straw was when we were in the supermarket and he started talking to these guys. One more time, I was there, put aside on my phone, waiting for him to finish his conversation. At one point, he mentioned to the guys something along the lines of him being the girl's chosen one. I'm not going to say exactly what he said because that would break his anonymity. I was there, next to him, hearing him say something like that to a bunch of guys he had just met. In that moment, something snapped in me. Something made me see that I had indeed become invisible to him when he was talking to random people. Something made me see that, for him, strangers' attention was more important than my attention. I didn't say anything in the moment, but I told him once we were home and he was furious, saying he was tired of me controlling him. I never meant to control him. I just expected more from him as my partner, more respect, more attention. Now, we are sleeping in separate bedrooms and I'm trying to find another place to go. He is being extremely apologetic again, but I'm just tired of that. Just tired of forgiving him so he can do this all over again. I really think I deserve something better. Comments.
Some people are just this way. I had an ex like this. We broke up, but not because of this part of his personality. I actually found it charming as I'm quite an extrovert too, just not to the same level. I also have an uncle who is like this. It's just a matter of compatibility. If he demanded you talk to strangers more and be a bit more outgoing, despite you hating doing that, how would you feel? It's the same for him, trying to suppress this part of him. I do believe splitting up would be the right thing. You can't change him and he won't change. Go your separate ways, and hopefully you'll both come across someone you're more compatible with. Just reading about it was exhausting. You have enough reasons to break up. Stop listening to his constant apologies and end the relationship. Apologies are for apologizing and not making the same mistake again. And he apologizes so you don't get mad at him, but he keeps doing the same thing. Stop putting up with him. I dated a guy like this for a few months last year before I too became sick of it. For context, I am also a very extroverted person, but still prioritize my partner or friend/family when I'm out in public. The last straw for me was when we were at a festival together. I had injured myself and could barely walk, but instead of helping me out, he went to every single camp around us to make friends. I dumped him as soon as we got back. I was in a relationship exactly like this and felt the exact same way as you. Girl, leave his annoying ass. Just go. Let him be who he is. You two simply are not compatible, and that is perfectly fine. You are taking it a little personally when it doesn't need to be. Regardless of how many conversations you have had about his behavior with him, he would be acting this way whether you were there or not. So it simply does not have anything to do with you at all, or how he feels about you. I wouldn't keep thinking less of him as a person if he can't change for you. It will not do anyone any good, and there is nothing inherently wrong with how either of you want to spend your time. You just don't agree with his choices, and that is fine. Just not compatible.
My friends are being greedy without knowing it while trying to sell their house, and it's making me irrationally angry. I have these friends, Sarah and Todd. They live in a subdivision in our city and bought just under 3 years ago. They recently looked at a home in a better area on a much larger block and put in an offer, which was accepted, for 1.3 M. They've had an inspection and reckon they'd need to do $200K worth of renovations, so they need to sell their house at a high price. At first I was happy for them. The area is one of the nicest in our city, even if the house is tired and close to a main road. Thing is, they're basically unwilling to sacrifice anything. They have no mortgage and can't get one because Sarah hasn't worked in 5 years and doesn't plan to until their youngest child, nearly 3, is in school. So whilst they have some money in the bank and a fully paid off property, they still can't get over the line for 1.5M unless they sell for an exorbitant amount. So they've gotten an agent that says it's possible and they're trying just that. Their house is fine and tidy but nothing special and they're asking for offers around 1.3M, average for the area is 990K with some pretty major outliers in the upper range. Completely unrealistic. To give an example, a house that is a similar footprint on a similar sized block of land just sold last month in that area for 1.1M. The house is newer, has duct air conditioning, a shed, a pool and solar panels. Sarah and Todd's place has none of those things. Not only is their naivety pissing me off a bit but they're saying they're really down about the fact that they've had no offers and the deal might fall through on the new place. Like, in this economy, people are struggling and you're sitting there being sad that you can't have everything you want without some level of compromise? Sad that you couldn't rip someone off? They bought the place for 570K 3 years ago FFS. You're already set to near double your money, what more can you want? They go on 2 overseas holidays a year on one income because of well-off family and even whinge about that half the time. Oh, the kids are upset they might not move to the new house? They're both under 5 years old. Why are they involved at all? On that note, Todd's family have even offered to loan them several $100,000 that they wouldn't have to pay back until Sarah starts working again but they don't want to take that. Am I meant to feel bad for them? This is vented to me, who came off my maternity leave as soon as it ran out for both of my children, has a mortgage, never goes on holidays, and I still consider my position to be very lucky. I just can't feign the devastation that they probably want from me. Comments.
Serious question, why do you even care? The right thing will happen. The house is worth exactly what the winning bidder will pay for it, and not a penny more. If it's worth what they're asking, they get the money, as they should. If it's worth less, they'll have to lower the price or take it off the market and stay there. Either of those are equitable outcomes. Barring something outrageous like an attack by Godzilla, those are the 2 most reasonable outcomes by a long shot. It's no skin off your nose either way. So why would you care? If you're sick of the venting, you could always make a pointed comment that while you'd hate to see them lose their new house, this is most definitely a problem most people would love to have. And follow it up with, I'd kill to not have a mortgage and have the option to stay home with my kids, so it's a little hard to hear you complain about all this. Either way, speak your mind or remove yourself. How it all shakes out is not your business. The reality is that they will either succeed or fail. Both are entirely possible in this market. They are adults and it's their choice, I guess. I understand your position though. Their stance seems very out of touch. My partner's parents annoy me a little in the same way. When we were looking for rentals, their advice was, you don't need a big house, so you can have your dog with you. Just suck it up and go into a 400p/WK unit and save till you can buy. Which sounds smart until you realize the market in our city is minimum $550 a week for even the worst unit in the worst suburb, and $700 p/WK is the minimum you need for anything decent. Additionally, they plan to travel once they retire, which would be amazing, but their plan is to rent out the top level of their house for around $700 p/WK. It's a spilt-level house with the bottom half being a little granny flat, and either rent out the bottom half to separate tenants or lock it up and have it as a caveat that they can come use the bottom half to stay in whenever they are back in our city. It's their choice, I guess, but it's mildly annoying that they're so out of touch. But I adore them, so never say anything. They're adults and they will either succeed or fail. Not my place to police them.
I just found out my entire friend group hid a years-long secret about my twin brother and I was the only one kept out. This is going to be a long one, so I apologize in advance, but I really need to type it out. I 21F just found out I've been completely left out of something that everyone in my closest circle has known about for years, and I honestly don't know if I'm overreacting or if this is actually as messed up as it feels. For context, I have a twin brother 21M. We're somewhat close in a sense that we have a lot in common, but we don't really talk about personal stuff that much. Growing up, we've always shared friend groups to some extent, but I've always been intentional about boundaries. We're both extroverted and make friends easily, so naturally I've gotten close with some of his guy friends and so has he with my girl friends. But at some point he told me he didn't really like that and asked me to stay within my own friend group, so I respected that. My friend group consists of 6 girls. 2 of them, I'll call them A and B, both 21F, are my closest friends. Eve known them for about 8 years from high school. Another girl in our friend group, I'll call her C, also 21F, is also someone close to me. We hang out together sometimes but not as much as I do with A and B. A, B and my twin brother are also in the same college program. They have classes together, group projects, they study together, so they naturally see each other a lot and are also friends. So there's a lot of overlap. Now on to what happened. Today, A was upset about something involving C. Both of them went on a trip overseas lasting 2 weeks and just came back yesterday. I figured something must have happened during the trip. So A texted both me and B separately saying she was mad about an issue and wanted to talk, but when she explained it to me she was extremely vague and refused to give context or even say who it involved, but still asked for my opinion on the matter. I couldn't really help because I had no idea what was going on. Then later today around 11 p.m. she made a group call with both me and B because she wanted to vent, but as soon as we joined the call she suddenly didn't feel like talking ABT it, so we changed the subject. Then a few minutes later she left for a while, and when she came back I had to leave as well and finish something that would take a while, but I didn't leave the call, I just deafened removed my earphones. Then 40 minutes later I came back. I believe they thought I was asleep and forgot to leave the call, so I stayed muted but undeafened because I was in the middle of something. And that's when I overheard them talking. I found out that C had been in a romantic relationship with my twin brother for 2 years since 2023 and had been on and off until this day, and everyone in our friend group knew about it except me. A knew. B knew. Other people in our circle knew. They had talked ABT it, given advice and discussed their RLS for years. At one point A even played Cupid by helping them get the other 1.so for years. This entire situation has been known by the people I trust most and I was the only person completely left out of it. What hurt even more is that when I realized what they were talking about, I unmuted and said, "Hey, I'm back, what did I miss / what were you talking about?" in a playful way to not tense up the conversation, but they immediately changed the subject and started planning a hangout TMR like nothing happened. Even earlier in that call when I left briefly, I brought up the subject about a being upset ABT something and B even said, "Oh, I didn't think she would tell you, that's why I didn't want to say anything," which made it even more confusing because it confirmed that they knew ABT it and I was completely left out. And C is also someone I consider a close friend. She's not just a stranger in the story, she's part of my circle. On top of that, there's been a long pattern where A and B come to me whenever they have issues with my brother. They vent OT me, ask for advice, and justify it by saying things like, "You're his twin, you understand him better," or "You know how he can be sometimes," so I've often been put in the position of giving emotional support or insights about him. But now that I realize that while I've been that role for years, I was also being kept out of something major involving him and someone I considered a close friend. What's also frustrating is the hypocrisy behind it. When a vent to me ABT her problem with C, she was mad about her not being honest with her about something and keeping things from her, while herself has been actively hiding and keeping things from me for years while still involving me emotionally whenever it suited her. I've always had that role of helping others and being someone my friends can rely on when they want to vent or find a solution to a problem, and I love helping them, but now I just feel like Eve been lied to this whole time. I hate how close he is to my friends, and when I tell him about it he shuts it off by saying they have classes together and that I can't tell him who he can be friends with. However, he had no problem in telling me that when it was his friends. Right now I just feel completely blindsided and excluded, and I hate that I was the only person left out while also being used as emotional support and advice whenever everyone else needed it. I don't know if I should confront them, just let it go, or if I'm being crazy about it, but I can't shake the feeling that I've been treated unfairly this whole time. I don't even want to see them tomorrow. Edit, I've seen multiple comments asking if this was a repeated pattern of my twin dating my friends, but I want to make clear that he has never dated anyone before this, at least seriously, maybe a few situationships but nothing serious, and never inside my friend group. So this was his first serious relationship. Also, for the people questioning how come I didn't see it going on or I should have seen signs, well, my brother is someone who's naturally close with girls, not in a player kind of way but more in a friendly way. He's never flirty with them or anything, just purely casual, which is why even if me, A, B, C and my brother hung out together before, there weren't any flirty looks or comments, just a friendly hangout. We also live in a pretty conservative household, in a sense that we don't bring GFS/BFS home and are expected to wait until marriage, but I guess that's another topic. What I think may have happened is since they all hang out TGT during the day because of classes, something may have happened then and continued from that point on. But again, I feel like I don't even know anything anymore. One more thing, for the comment saying to go back to being close with his friend group, I think I may give it a shot as I truly gaff anymore. He didn't respect my boundaries, I don't feel the need to respect his. I also learned that one of his friends did in fact develop feelings for me, which could be one of the reasons why he asked me to back off, which just pisses me off even more. BCS of his hypocrisy. I will make an update for anyone interested once I get the chance to talk to them or make a plan about how to go about things from now on. Comments.
You're way too calm for how they've treated you. I would have confronted all of them. Your brother is a hypocrite, but your friends aren't good friends if they can't even be open with you. They're not worth your time. You should text all of them, letting them know how disrespectful they've been for 2 years. My first thought when reading the story was he's been sleeping with all your friends. I wouldn't even be surprised if he had already done that and got serious with one of them. Good thing is you're only 21, you're still young, it's easy to start fresh even if it'll hurt. You don't really want to spend the rest of your life hanging out people who don't respect you. So he and they all get full access to your life. But then your brother gets to decide what you know and who you can spend time with, and both friend groups co-sign the whole thing. Maybe there is a cultural aspect. You mentioned being from a conservative household. But this sounds exist AF, and rude and manipulative. I'd tell them all to step off for a while. Give myself time to think about who is really there for me and who I show up for without any real reciprocation.
I lost two of my closest friendships after a girls' trip overseas. I met my two friends Sarah, 24F, and Tia, 25F, in high school around 12 years ago through school soccer. We became really close and would hang out all the time. After high school at 18, I joined the military and moved to another state, so while we kept in touch I didn't see them for about 6 years. When I medically discharged from the military, I was diagnosed with severe PTSD and also level 1 autism and was put on a military disability pension that pays 75% of my base salary. I bought my first home and got a PTSD support dog as well. A few months after being back in my home state, my friend Tia asked me if I wanted to join her and Sarah on a trip to South Korea with them. I have done a lot of solo traveling already, so I was more than happy to go. The girls planned to do a lot of shopping and beauty treatments, which I'm not interested in, so I suggested we do some cultural activities. Every suggestion I made the girls didn't like, so I let them plan what they wanted and thought if we had time we could do the things I wanted. When we got there, I felt like everything that went wrong was blamed on me. Tia got upset because on our second day there the girls wanted us all to get matching nails. The salon overcharged us by $150. I almost cried when I heard the price because originally we had been told we would pay $75 and the total ended up over $200 per person. I've also never been scammed like this overseas when traveling alone, so I think it was just a bit of a shock. I did pay, but when we got back to the hotel Tia pulled me aside and said that I shouldn't have come if I wasn't prepared to spend money like this, and she gave me the silent treatment the rest of the day. While I am okay spending money when it's worth it, I don't agree with throwing it away either. We had other issues like them getting upset when I didn't look at train timetables with them. While I did navigate when I needed to, I felt like 3 people looking at the same map on their phones was a bit pointless. They also would get upset when we went shopping and I wouldn't buy anything, or when I suggested we eat Korean food. The girls don't like Korean food and wanted to have cafes and Starbucks. I did the rest of the trip by myself because I could tell they were getting annoyed at me. So I spent the rest of the trip looking at cultural sites, visiting temples and eating traditional Korean meals while the girls went shopping and did their beauty treatments. I also met up with a friend of mine who was posted in Korea from the Air Force and she showed me around as well. Often the two girls would not invite me to dinner or out in the evenings even though we still shared a hotel. When we got back home, the girls and I continued being friends and I thought we had put this trip behind us. My friend Sarah had asked me at the start of this year for 8 free tickets to a zoo I volunteer at. They give me 10 free tickets a year for friends and family, and normally I'd give my free tickets to the local homeless shelter I also volunteer at, but I gave them to her instead. And my other friend Tia asked me to be a bridesmaid at her wedding and even got me to help her plan her wedding colors and parts of her wedding a month ago. Out of the blue a week ago I find out that Tia has blocked me on social media, so I message Sarah asking her if Tia is doing alright, and I get a long message saying that neither of them want to continue our friendship after our trip in Korea. Mind you, this trip has happened a year ago. They said they felt like 2 disability support workers who had to take care of me the entire time, and they felt they had wasted thousands of dollars on a trip that I will get back instantly with my military pension. They said that me not helping with navigation and refusing to spend money shopping put a lot of stress on them also. They also said I should not have come to South Korea when I have fish allergy, although I never had any issues with food there, except one night where I didn't eat with the girls at the fish market and went somewhere else to eat. Sarah also said that she won't allow me to continue benefiting from their friendship. I spoke to my friend in the Air Force who was in Korea about this. I introduced her to these 2 girls one day on the trip for a coffee, and she said that the girls probably just need someone to blame for the trip not working the way they wanted. And that she noticed Tia was really demanding and if things didn't go her way she would get upset with me. She said that I need to let that friendship go and that she will always love me and she values our friendship a lot. I didn't respond to the message that Sarah sent me about our friendship ending because I didn't want to make it worse. I feel so devastated that this one trip ruined 12 years of friendship. Comments.
These people are bullies, and you need to ask yourself why on earth you thought it was okay to continue contact with them after that trip. You need to work on your boundaries and defend yourself. Please go no contact, and never waste 1 second of your time or energy on these disgusting people. You deserve more. Only response they deserve is F***CK you and have a nice day. They were absolutely not your friends. You deserve better than these exploitative, judgmental idiots. What the hell is the point of going constantly to a Starbucks and other places with standardized food instead of enjoying local specialties? And having matching nails and judging you on not spending? They sound more like a cult than actual friends. Better to move along and dedicate your time to people that actually cherish you for what you are, not what you can offer. As a person with PTSD, I can also say it's utter bullshit for your friends to say they're disability support workers. That's just a nasty thing to say to someone who has bad mental health that they got from trauma, especially in a case where you weren't even down in the dumps or trauma dumping on them. If anything, you seem to be the most intelligent and emotionally stable of your friendship group. Whilst it's unfortunate, I think you've dodged a bullet. They're not very good people by the sounds of it. I'd really focus on that it's not a knock on your character at all, but a clear indicator of theirs. It's unfortunate, but traveling with friends, or partners, is a good indicator of compatibility. You don't really know a person/persons until you have to navigate a new place together, make decisions based on the consensus of the group by taking other people's feelings and wants into consideration and compromising. I went on a Hawaii trip with my good friends in my late 20s. While we had a good time, people's true colors became more apparent during the trip. And ultimately, the dynamics of the friend group definitely shifted after the trip. None of us cut contact out afterwards, but you could feel sides being taken. Assuming the information you provided is true, you didn't do anything wrong. I think your Air Force friend is right, and they're just trying to blame it on you that the trip didn't end up being what they thought it would be. And if your Air Force friend felt that Tia was demanding based on first impressions alone, then you know it very apparent. I understand. It sucks when you lose friends. But the way they've treated you and the whole situation is stupid and childish. And honestly, nobody needs that in their lives. You are much better off. But what do you think Sarah meant that she no longer is letting you benefit from the friendship?
I purchased an expensive ticket for a World Cup match so my husband could go, and now I feel like I was duped. I'm so disappointed. I realize this post may come across as tone-deaf, and maybe I sound spoiled, but I can't help feeling upset. My husband is a huge football fan, and not only was there a World Cup match scheduled for his birthday, but his home country is playing in the match. Tickets are not cheap, and I started saving for this a long time ago, even before the teams were drawn, because this is probably my husband's only chance to see a World Cup game in person. When it became known that his team would be playing in our city, I knew my husband would want to go to the match. Because of how costly the tickets were, I ended up purchasing a hospitality ticket, since the price was nearly the same as a regular ticket. Hospitality tickets come with things like free food and drinks. According to both of the seating maps I saw, pinned in my profile, the Champions Club would be in the lower part of the stadium. Instead of being in the lower part of the stadium, the seat is in the upper section, 210 instead of 110. This is not what the seating chart showed when I purchased the ticket, and I am so disappointed. The seat is in the back of the section, and on the seating chart for regular tickets it is in the Category 2 section. Yet these are supposed to be premium seats. I can't help but be disappointed. This might be tone-deaf, but we are normal people, and I had to save for a long time to afford this. I'm a teacher. My husband works as a landscaper. My husband would never say anything, but I'm afraid he'll be disappointed over where he is sitting. We aren't wealthy, and this was a big purchase for me. I feel like I was duped, and I just had to vent and say something. Comments.
I live in the Bay Area, and I've been waiting to buy the tickets because they were so expensive. What was once going for $1,400 is down to $750. When I was in second grade, Hilary Duff was on tour for her album Metamorphosis. My mom bought tickets because I was really excited and wanted to go. We were in the nosebleeds and off to the side, so the stage was half hidden and we could only see her, none of the band, and part of backstage where they used to enter and exit. My mom was disappointed for me and apologized, but I was still so excited and said, "Mom, we still get to see her and we can see her before anyone else." I had the best time. I know it can feel like a letdown, but try not to be disappointed for someone else about seats. He still gets to go to a World Cup match on his birthday and see his home country play. That's exciting and special enough all on its own. It sucks that it was changed and that it seems they were dishonest about the location of his seating, but the thoughtfulness behind getting those tickets and putting so much thought into the ones you choose for that specific match, even splurging a little extra to get him the ones with free food and drink too, is what matters, and the experience is all about perspective and what he makes of it. I hope this helps, even a little. You were definitely ripped off. FIFA is just scamming everyone at this point. But your husband will love it no matter what. A World Cup game is still a World Cup game at the end of the day. I can tell you personally, I've been to great games around the world. Nothing matches the excitement I have to see my country play in the World Cup. Nothing. I haven't even looked at my seats. I don't care, lol.
Thanks for watching my video. Please like it and subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories.